Heather Nova is back. The singer from the Bermudas releases her new album, The Way It Feels, on May 29th here in Germany and worldwide. She catches our attraction and gains our heart with her folk-based music and her poetry. My name is Ann-Kathrin and you are watching Audiophile TV. Enjoy!
Audiophile.
Hello Heather, we're very happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
So we have something in common. We both like listening to music when we are driving the car. Is it like a journey for you, or why do you like this?
Well, it's partly practicality. I have a lot of time because I drive my son to school every day, and it's about a 40-minute drive. And so I like to listen to records then. Also because it's you're very enclosed in a car, and it's just the speakers and no distracting sounds. So I actually find it a great time to listen to music. Yeah, and it was during these drives after I had written a bunch of songs, and I was trying to decide who to record with, which producer to choose, because it's a very important decision. You know, you have these songs, but how you dress them up makes all the difference in the type of record that you're going to make. So I was having these thoughts, and there was one record that I kept coming back to in the car that I kept wanting to listen to again, and I realized it was because of the sound and the atmosphere on this album. And so I thought, you know what, I think I'd like to try working with the guys who made this record. And the record was William Fitzsimmons' Gold in the Shadows. Mm-hmm. And it just had this sound to the musicianship and to the production that I really loved. So I looked up on the back of the CD who had done the production, and it was these two guys who were musicians in the States. So I called them up and said, you know, would you be up for trying a couple of tracks together? And they said, sure, come on over to Charleston, South Carolina. And I thought, that's the first hint that this is the right decision, because, you know, when you make a decision in your life, and if it's a good one, things start happening to make it work. Mm. And I'd always wanted to go to Charleston my whole life. So I thought, okay, this is a sign. And even if it doesn't work out, I get to see Charleston.
That's a good idea. But is it like a puzzle? So if one fits to the other?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, making music is it's about chemistry, right? It's like a relationship. So you have to have the chemistry with the musicians, with the producer. And when I started to work with them, it just instantly felt right. And so I think it's a really great reminder to me to always follow your instinct on something. You know, we have this inner knowing, and it's really good to listen to that inner knowing, because it was kind of a risk. I've never done that before, where I just went and worked with people I never knew, or you know.
And how many musicians have been involved on this CD?
Only two. So these two guys.
The producers.
Yeah. They did everything. Like they were amazing musicians, and they could do the engineering and everything. So I mean, I played my guitar, but that's about it. They played every instrument.
So it is like slimming down everything, the production?
No, I mean, there's actually quite a lot of layers of sound in the record. You know, we really built a beautiful atmosphere there, but we didn't, you know, they could play it all. So.
And what do you think? Does it sound like the Fitzsimmons CD you liked?
No, because, I mean, you know, that's him, and this is me. And as an artist, you bring your own mark to it and your own individuality. So obviously it sounds like one of my records, not one of his records. But what I did get from these guys was just the production sound, the overall. And what's nice about it is it feels, is what I like about production is when it's not, you can't really hear it. It's more just sympathetic to the songs. And so I think this record sounds quite intimate. And there's a little bit of Americana in there, a little bit of kind of dark folk. You know, there's a little bit of spooky banjo. Yeah.
I like the country inspired songs on this album very much.
Right. I mean, there's little elements of country, but it certainly doesn't. Nothing sounds like a country song. It's just, I mean, and that's, you know, making a record. I never set out to be in one genre. It's kind of like you pick and choose the different elements, and then you bring it together, and then it's yours, right? It's your own.
Is it
own
because
style.
Is it because you listen to a lot of different styles of music?
Yeah, and it's also just intuitive when you're making a record. You know, you might say, oh, I feel like a little banjo line would be good there, but it's not because you want to make a bluegrass record. It's because you just like the sound of that instrument in that context. So.
Did you travel to the studio and have the complete song material ready, or is it a work in progress?
No, I'm very controlling with my songs, so the writing process is very, I'm alone when I write, and I like to finish them completely before I take them out to be recorded. So the songs were finished, but the production was a collaboration for sure.
And is it still that you write only 3 or 4 months for the new album and then don't write any song?
Well, I don't know. I wrote this record over a period of probably a year. When I write, you know, actually when I get most of my ideas, I go for a walk every day. And when I'm walking, that's when ideas come to me for songs. So I carry my iPhone and it has a voice recorder, so I sing my ideas as I'm walking. And then later I go through them and decide which ones I'm going to turn into songs. So I have about like 300 little fragments on my on my iPhone, and then the hard work comes when you have to actually make them into a song. Yeah, but that's the way I work.
But do you still remember those fragments?
No, I don't remember all of them. I have to go back and listen. Yeah.
And then you take those fragments. How do you go on with the lyrics or with the instrumentation, or
right?
What is the process?
Well, again, it's kind of. I mean, what I love about the songwriting process is that, although I understand the structure of songwriting, it's also still a bit of a mystery to me. You know, because so much of it comes from in here, but then so much seems to come from out there, and it's this process that keeps me interested because it's kind of mysterious to me, and so part of it is applying myself and doing work and figuring out where the song wants to go. And part of it is being open and just feeling it, you know, feeling where it wants to go.
So is it very introspective?
Well, I guess it is, because just by the nature of the fact that I'm writing about personal things, and you know, but mixing that up with, it's all a balancing act, right? Because it's really important to be raw and to be real, but you don't just want to write the fact out, you know. You want to create something beautiful and use metaphor and use imagery, and so it's a very fine balancing thing.
And when did you decide to give so much from your personality into your music?
Well, that was sort of how I came to songwriting. It was a process that I came to because I needed to do that. You know, I had things I couldn't work out, and I found that sitting with a guitar and singing and writing about it was helping me to make sense of it, make sense of things in my life. And then what I found when I started releasing these songs was that the ones that were the most raw and the most personal were the ones that reached people the most. And that was, you know, that's the job of music, is to make a connection between people. So I write a song, and if I talk about something that's happened to me, you might have had a similar thing, but you bring your own story to the song. And, you know, it's an interesting process, because I think that in order to make a really great song, you have to take a great risk, and the risk is to be completely real and honest, and that's often kind of scary, you know. But those are the songs that make a difference and that matter.
Is it a sort of therapy, or has it been a sort of therapy?
Yeah, in a way, I guess you could say so. Yeah. I mean, I definitely need to do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is it also because you say about yourself that you are a shy person, that this is to open yourself in your songs and give something from you to others and not being isolated maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it is for me the way that I really connect with the world, and so, for instance, when I play live, that's an incredible experience because I'm really feeling firsthand that connection that my music is making with people, and it's an exchange. You know, I'm giving them something, but they're giving me something, and it feels like okay, this is what I'm here to do.
But how do you manage when you're on stage and you're into your music, also be open to the audience, because this is two different things?
Yeah, it's a really good question because being on stage is it's a state that's hard to describe unless you have done it. It's kind of like a letting go when you get on stage. It's why I have a hard time with the word performance, because I don't feel like I'm performing. I feel like I'm just letting go and becoming the music.
Would performance be too static, maybe?
Well, performance is like putting on an act, right? Putting on a show, and I don't feel like I'm doing that when I'm on stage. I feel like I'm just playing the music, and it's like when you're there and you're really singing and doing it, you kind of, everything else falls away. All the stuff from the day, all the stuff that you're worried about, all the preconceptions, all your insecurities, self-consciousness, everything goes. And it's a very pure kind of place to be in that moment. And then it's almost kind of spiritual, I have to say. And so in that moment, you do feel that connection with people.
Does it always work?
Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time. I mean, you know what, I mean, sometimes, you know, if something technical is going wrong, you get distracted or stuff like that, but, yeah.
Does it also depend from the audience? Have they to be open-minded or in a special mood, or is it just your job to get them?
And I don't feel that. I don't feel like it's my job to get them. I feel like if they don't, you know what, it's my job to just do what I do. And then if they feel it, they feel it. If they don't, they don't. I can't try to persuade someone, you know. It's not really what I'm trying to do, you know. Hopefully the music is going out there and eliciting a response, an emotional response from people.
You have very different instrumentations within the last 20 years. I think you are now building up your career, or having your career, not building up, that's that you are having now your career. In which formation do you feel the most comfortable?
Well, yeah, I've done certainly full band, you know.
Even with the symphony orchestra, right?
Well, I've recorded with an orchestra, yeah. I mean, but, you know, so I like the full band thing because it's exciting and there's this big sound all around you and you can kind of get lost in it in a really nice way. And that's great. And then more recently I do these acoustic shows, which is just myself and a multi-instrumentalist, and he plays cello, piano, and guitar. And those shows are more, they make me more nervous because I'm more exposed, you know. But I really enjoy the challenge of those and the intimacy, and the interplay between the two of us is very very important. So I don't know. I like both. It just depends.
And when you're writing your songs, do you have in mind for which formation this song will be, or do you just let it go and then afterwards see which formation you could have?
Good question. I mean, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
Sometimes I just write a song, and it's, you know, because the thing is, at the end of the day, my songs can always come back to how they were written. They can always come back to just me on an acoustic guitar. So, but sometimes I have ideas for arrangements.
And do you first do the music and then the lyrics?
Kind of both together. Like I was saying, when I'm walking and I think of something, it's like a line of melody with some words. So usually they're going together.
Because you're also writing poetry.
Yes, not as much, but sometimes, and that is I don't know how to describe it. It's just a different part of me when I write a poem.
So you couldn't use your lyrics from your songs as poetry, or do you think this would
to
also
me, then
work?
they're just lyrics from a song. Like when you write a song, they're so inextricably kind of married together that if you take them apart, it's just one part of something.
Because it is more limited in regards of the length, or because they have to work with the music, or
Yeah,
which
I don't really
are
know
the-
why it's
okay.
different. I can't exactly explain it, but it somehow is. It's a different part of my brain when I write a poem that is not part of music. It's a separate thing. Again, it's the mystery.
You started in your 20s with making music. Also, you have been playing as a folk group of the Violent Femmes, for example. Do you have
I've been what,
the
sorry?
Violent Femmes you have played with?
When I was opening for them
Yes,
early on, yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Do you still have contact with the bands you played then?
Some of them, yeah.
Or do you listen to their music still, maybe?
I haven't listened to the Violent Femmes in a long time. I don't even know if they're still making records.
I don't know.
But sure, I listen to old stuff and new stuff. It just depends what kind of mood I'm in. You know, sometimes I feel like some nostalgia, and I'll put on a, you know, record that I listened to in my childhood. So it depends.
If you had to give a young artist some advice how to create a career,
Right.
what would you say or tell them?
So the first thing I would say is be you, because as simple as that sounds, that's the most valuable thing you have, is your own individuality.
And it's
so
the most difficult, isn't it?
In a way, but no, in a way it's right there, right? So, but I think we tend to think, oh, we need to be like something else or as good as something else, or you know, you don't. You just need to do exactly what you've got right here.
But you need to know who you are before.
You don't
so
really need to know. I mean, I don't really know all the time who I am. I mean, sometimes, you know what's interesting is sometimes I write a song and I don't even know what it's about till after I've written it. So it's really just about tuning into yourself, because we all have something there, right? And
so you discover new sides when
Yeah,
you're writing songs?
sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I don't always set out with a concept for a song. I just start to write, and stuff comes, and then I go, that's interesting.
So you have different layers.
We all have different
Yes.
layers. Yes, for sure.
So the first advice is being yourself, and
Yeah, and so just follow that your intuition on when it comes to writing, and then the other advice is just get out there and play. You know, that playing live is such a valuable thing, because it gives you experience and it gives you feedback, and you become, I think, more aware of what's working and what's not working in your songs. So I think that's helpful, even if you're just busking on the street, you know.
Isn't it sometimes weird for you that, for example, me, I know so much about you,
Yeah.
and you don't know anything about me?
Yes.
So people know, or they tend to think they know a lot about
Yes.
you. Isn't it sometimes scaring?
Yeah, and in the beginning, when I first started my career, I found it very upsetting and very weird, and then I got used to it. I mean, I think that people don't, you know, sure, they know a little bit about me through my songs. It's interpretation, though, you know. They don't really know.
But when I listen to your music and I listen to your voice, it is like an open door to your soul.
Right.
So I think I do know a lot
Okay.
about you.
Well, I think that's part of the deal when you're an artist. You know, you give some of yourself and you expose yourself to make art. You know, and I think that's okay. You know, it's sort of like, I've been thinking recently about how to be vulnerable is actually stronger than to be strong. Why we think is strong, because when you're vulnerable, you're open, and then you're able to engage in life better. And when you're just being tough and strong, you build walls around yourself, and it's not actually that strong. That's built of fear. You know, so So sure, I do feel kind of vulnerable sometimes, but I'm okay with that.
And how does your family deal with this fact?
Well, you know, it doesn't really come into our life. It's not, you know, where I live in Bermuda, which is where I grew up. It's home, and it's, you know, I just live a normal life. You know, I'm not Madonna or something. I live a normal life. I look after my son. I cook dinner every night. You know, I mean, just like any other woman, really. Unless I'm on tour, and then it's different.
You mentioned your son. Did your voice change with the baby?
Thankfully, no. That would be scary. No, my voice didn't change, but my heart changed. I mean, I felt like when I had my son, my heart burst open. It was the most incredible thing. It was just like, wow, this is love, you know? And I had a whole new perspective on life, and I had a whole new fear, of course, to protect this child. And it's been a really interesting journey, and actually 2 of the songs on the record are kind of about that, you know, when you're a mother, you have this very, very strong maternal instinct to protect. But then as they're growing up, you realize you need to learn the art of letting go. Because you can't, if you try to hold on too much, you're stopping your child from experiencing life, you know? And so it's this push-pull, this kind of, you know, this painful letting go, but at the same time it's beautiful because they're growing up into their own person. And so, yeah.
Has this been also your own experience as a child, that your parents let you go?
I don't think you're really aware of it as a child so much. I think when you're a child, you're kind of self-absorbed, you know, so you're just doing your thing. You're not at all aware of all the intense emotions your parents are going through with you as a parent.
You're more egocentric
Yes,
as a child.
I think
so. But that's good, being egocentric, I think,
it's
sometimes. Yeah. So did also the topics of your music change within the last years? I think the style changes from album to album a little bit. Sometimes you're more rocky, now a little bit more pop, country, folk music style.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the style, sorry, what was your question? Was the style changing? Or, the lyrics, okay.
Yeah, and the topics you're singing about.
So yeah, so any record, you know, because my albums are always very personal, so every album is really a reflection of that period of my life. Yeah.
So, of course, it changes.
So it changes.
Yeah.
It changes.
Are you still involved in those projects, environmental projects, as you did in the past? Or social projects too?
Yeah, I mean, when things come up that matter to me, I try to get involved. It's important to me to be involved in the community, you know. I mean, one of the things I do when I'm on tour is, I remember many years back, this guy came to my concert and he was holding his phone up to the speakers. And he came outside to speak to me afterwards, and he said, to get something signed, and he said, it's for my friend, she's in the hospital, she's too sick to come to your concert, but she's a big fan, and that's why I was holding the phone up. And I thought, wow, like that's something I'd never thought about, that there were young people out there who would love to go to concerts and are too ill. So then I had this idea to, when I'm on tour, to stop in sometimes at hospitals and just do a free acoustic concert in the hospital. So I've been doing that on my recent tours. And it's been nice.
Wow. So could you imagine have an album without the word sea or ocean?
Oh no, did I do it every time?
No, not every time, but I think it's like maybe it is also a metaphor for your life.
Yeah, well, probably, because I grew up with the sea, I grew up on the sea, I live by the sea. It's you know, and it's this ever-changing force around me all the time. I look out my kitchen window, it's right there. So it's subconsciously a part of me, I guess, yeah. So probably no.
Is it like a part of your character, or could it describe your character?
I can't describe my character, no. That's for other people to do. The sea, yeah, I guess, it's part of me, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Au, di, o, fi. feel.